What up, dog?
Not much, dude. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little toasted. I was watching WrestleMania.
Toasted. That means so many things in the modern era. You left
Just
near something hot too long and have developed a crust and slightly darkened appearance.
yeah, exactly that. hmm Not alcohol related. You're fine. Just toasted like the bread.
I took a lease out on your heart. I took a lease out on your heart. Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we are on a quest for Dynasty Domination. How's it going over there, Daniel?
Doing well. Can't complain. I can't believe the draft is in a couple of weeks. It's freaking me out. But what about you, Christian? What's up with you, man?
Oh no, not much. Just finished up WrestleMania 40
Hey.
XL. It was a lot of
Ooh.
fun. Lots of returns. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that might have recorded it. I'm sure the 20 people that listen to us, there's not many wrestling fans, but if you are, it was fun. Not one of the top WrestleManias ever, I'd say, but it was a lot of fun. So it's always a good time. But I'm a little drunk, so that's
Sweet.
good. But
Excited
I'm
about
doing
that.
good. I'm doing good, man. I'm a bit nervous about the draft too. Plan on live streaming that. That is the
Okay.
plan. So we're getting ready for that. So I'm a bit nervous. Might have a couple surprises for you for that, for the listeners, and also for you, Dan, potentially. But we are here. We are here. We are going to finish up the round of 32 today in the RDR Dynasty Rookie Tournament. We did the Atlantic and the South. Go check it out. I threw them up on the Twitter. You can see the full Sweet 16 right now. And once we get the final Sweet 16 out, I am going to put out one for you guys to kind of fill out going from there if you want to. But we are going to tackle both the Midwest and the West side of the bracket today. So, gonna do another 2-for-1 episode for you. A lot less confusion than there was last week. Still in the process of a move and everything, but I hope you bared with us because we are down to hit it hard and we are gonna finish out this round of 32 and then get to the real action in the Sweet 16. Do you have anything else for us, Dan, before we start into this?
Nope.
Oh, sorry, I think you cut out there.
Oh, I said I'm ready.
Okay, cool. Cool then. All right. No further ado then. All right. So we're going to start with the Midwest here, and we've got the number one seed in Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver out of Ohio State, going up against the number nine seed in Malachi Corley. And this is one of those that, like, it sucks because it's an obvious winner, but I don't want it to, like, make, I don't know, to skew how we feel about Malachi Corley because I still like Malachi Corley quite a bit, but I mean, there's just no chance that he beats Marvin Harrison Jr.
No, no. I mean, and in the single elimination tournament, you get what you get. This is, I mean, there's no competition here.
Mm.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be, you know, finally we've come around on the nepotism thing. We were really avoiding it, but
On this one, it's
uh,
hard to avoid.
if it had been Malachi Corley Jr., maybe we'd be talking something else here.
Yeah.
But no, man, there's no contest here.
hmm
But yeah, I still like Malachi, like you're saying. The guy is pretty incredible as far as like being a short range ace, and
Yeah.
he was just always doing something on the
hmm
field, man. He's always in motion, and he had like the stopped catches and runs behind the line of scrimmage, and he was just like quick. He was always swiveling. I loved how he get like a catch on the perimeter
Mm.
and be parallel with the sideline and just like flip his hips and just take off running. It's
Yeah.
like, man, that's a pretty sweet skill. Um, but yeah, he was always just breaking big gains by force and just gritty, tough kind of guy, man. in great hands, and I don't know, just like kind of filthy. Just catch the ball and then take off real swift. And I hate to keep doing this. I know we keep saying this out loud.
Hmm.
This is becoming a bit of a cliche, but I don't know. He's got like a Curtis Samuel level to him with a
Yeah.
lot more aggression
Hmm.
as far as like the ability to kind of do anything and be that creative outlet for an NFL offense.
Hmm.
So, um, I mean, some of the things that really stand out for him is the yards after catch of 683.
Yep.
That's second highest in the tournament and pretty incredible. And 8.6 per reception. That's tied for number one.
Yep.
That's pretty badass. So
Hmm.
you gotta love that. Purely slot guy. I gotta say, I think I moved him down. I don't know how high I had him in my slot rankings, but I did do some Malik Washington film watching recently, and
Hmm.
having them both in mind, it made Corley go down a little bit. I thought
Oh
he was
yeah.
just a little loose in his approach to running routes.
Hmm.
And I know he's great at bullying corners and really taking the physicality to them to
Yeah.
win. And I just wonder, you get out of the Western Kentucky era
Uh-huh.
and then to the pros of more physical corners, if that's going to translate with that same success level. But I don't know.
No, yeah, I 100% agree with you. That was the thing. We've buried a lot of guys in this tournament for the small schools, and Malachi Corley has kind of avoided that up until
Mhm.
now. But if you take a look at like who he played against, you've got Troy, Liberty, New Mexico State, Sam Houston,
Damn
Jacksonville
Houston.
State. These are the teams that he's playing. And then he did have one game against Ohio State. He had 13 targets, 8 catches, 88 yards, and a touchdown. So, good production against a good school. But everything you're saying is right about him, man, and it makes sense. He was a running back transfer his freshman year, so he came from running back, moved over to wide receiver his freshman year at WKU, and in his sophomore season, he immediately jumped on with 684 yards and 7 touchdowns. So the talent is there, and the way he runs, you can see that like running back aggression in him, and then the yak that you're talking about, the first in yak per catch, and then the second in yak overall in the tournament. And he also had it was seventh in forced missed tackles for wide receivers, and that's all that's all that running back style. He also can take handoffs because he's used to doing that. So that versatility you're talking about is really awesome. And like you're saying, he's a slot guy. He's been there. He's done that. 85% slot usage this season. And you can kind of just use him wherever you need to do or wherever you need him to be and kind of use him. He had 42 catches this year, which is second in the FBS, and he had 330 yards off of those screens. So first off of that. So he's taking that running back ability to be able to read the blocking on those screenplays and get extra yardage on them. So yeah, I think he's going to be really spicy in the NFL given if he lands on the right team. He gets more time to develop. He's only 22 and like I said he just started playing wide receiver his freshman year. So he has 3 years solid or 4 years solid I guess of being a wide receiver, but that time to develop kind of on the route running and maybe some of the more technical side that some of these other slot receivers have on him could be awesome for him. That other downside in terms of athleticism, he's not like as athletic as these other guys. I think we can all agree like Jalen McMillan isn't the like guy that we think of when we think like super athletic. Turns out he kind of is, but like he has an RAS of 8.6, whereas Malachi Corley only has a 7.7. But I do think Corley brings a different sort of style to an offense that, given the right landing spot, could be really spicy. If you go somewhere that they're just going to use him as a slot receiver, I think I'll become a little less interested. But if it's somewhere like a San Francisco, like even I don't think this would happen, but like a Green Bay or a LA Rams or something like that, I think that would be really interesting. But if it's somewhere else, I don't know how much I believe in that.
Yeah, it's really landing spot dependent for him. And
Yeah.
man, the potential's there, but I feel like Marvin Harrison Jr.'s landing spot proof, so we got to give him the dub on
Oh
this one.
yeah. Well, yeah, this one was never in doubt for sure. So as spicy as I think Malachi Corley is, we do have the number one seed, Marvin Harrison Jr., moving on, leaving the nine seed, Malachi Corley. I don't know that we ever said this to anyone, but the nine seed was our secret little um small school spot, I do
Okay.
believe. And I think Malachi Corley was the farthest small school that made it, unless I am mistaken. So good job, WKU and Malachi Corley. But moving on to our next matchup, we got the five seed Audric Estime, running back out of Notre Dame, going up against the 13th seed, also running back Isaac Guerendo, out of Louisville. Um, this was a really tough matchup for me. They both kind of have their checks and balances here. I mean, Guerendo has the obvious upside for the athleticism. The size and speed combination that he has is just ridiculous. He's weighing in at 221 pounds, 6 feet tall, but he ran a 4.340. Um, Meanwhile, on the flip side, you got Estime who fumbled a bit at the combine, in terms of speed, like a 4.7 40 time, which isn't great, but he did have an 87th percentile burst score and he did show off strength at the bench. So he didn't like completely stumble just on the speed, but he's also the obviously more developed of the two guys here. I mean, he's had almost over 6 yards a carry every season he's been in. 8.6 is this last year, or his first season, 5.8 the next year, and then 6.4 this past season. And he's had 106 missed tackles forced in college compared to Guerendo's 54 throughout their time in college. So he is the more polished and nuanced runner of the two, but I do feel like these guys are kind of like rotational level at best at the next level. I mean, Guerendo's been like that his whole year, so you got to take the swing on the athletic home run profile, right? Instead of the guy that's going to be the heavy, kind of short yardage back in an offense, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say I'd agree with that. Yeah, it's just kind of funny that some of these tough matchups where like really good players are losing, put Jalen right in here or
Hmm.
whatever, and
Yeah.
and so these two guys are like they're almost that round of 32 level loser, but they find themselves against each other. So one of
Hmm.
them one of them
Kind of
gets
make it.
to play another day, and I mean, like you're saying, I would go with that. Go with Isaac Guerendo as the
Mhm.
winner.
I do have one question for you though. Does age play any factor for you at all? Because there's a pretty big gap in these guys' age. Guarendo's almost 24, while Estime is just under 21. Do we think that there's any chance for him to develop Estime, that is, and maybe be better, and Guarendo's career to kind of be cut short, or do we still try to take that home run swing even if it is a little bit shorter of a career?
So here's the deal with me. I'm all in on Audric Estime. Like I really like the guy.
Yeah.
Um, and I think yeah, having 3 years younger is huge. Um, But as far as like this matchup in particular, it's going to be the NFL draft capital. I
Mm,
think Guerendo with that athleticism and size combination is going to get a better landing spot than the guy who, might have had a 94 rushing grade but ran a
mhm.
4.71. So I'm still like full on estimate, but I think after we look at the landing spot and where the chips all fall at the end of this month, Guerendo is going to be the higher preferred guy, and so I'm just anticipating a higher, like maybe a 2 round gap on the draft capital, and so that's leaning it. It's really it comes down to the combine. I know the age is the age, but as far as usage, he hasn't been heavily, ran into
Yeah,
the ground, so I think he still has. I mean, he has the ability to overcome that a little bit, in my opinion.
I hear you. I hear you. And to your point, I mean, when Googling news about these guys, for Guerendo, you're hearing about, oh, the 49ers really like him. They might take a chance on day two. And then this team wants to visit with him. This team wants to visit with him. Da 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 da. And then you Google Audric Estime, and his is, oh, he improved his 40 time at his pro day.
Right.
That's it. That's his headline, and you're like, oh, that's tough news.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. I do think Guerendo's probably going to get somebody's going to try to take a swing. I'm not sure exactly if it's going to work at all, but like I think that even the chance at that is going to be better off than what Estime is going to give you at the next level, unfortunately. So we have a huge upset. We've got the 13 seed Isaac Guerendo moving on to the Sweet 16, and we've got the 5 seed Audric Estime staying put. So our next matchup is going to be a little Michigan on Michigan action here. We've got the 6 seed Blake Corum, running back out of Michigan, going up against the 3 seed JJ McCarthy, quarterback out of Michigan. How do you feel about this one?
That's bad. I don't know. I'm not in on either of these guys.
Okay.
Personally, I guess I have JJ McCarthy advancing.
All
And
right.
like, I guess insert the argument from the last matchup. Just he's gonna get the opportunity.
Hmm.
And unless like, I don't know, Harbaugh finds a way to get Corum and
Well, I mean,
then
the
I don't
Chargers do
really,
need a running back.
yeah, yeah, but
So
I don't I don't know. What about you? Where are you at?
So I also picked McCarthy here, and here's the thing. I want to clip this now because it sounds like I'm a Corum hater on this podcast, and I guess to a certain extent I am because I'm not as like high on him nearly as everybody else. But I will happily admit right now, and we can clip it to play it later, he'll have like one or two, maybe three good seasons in the NFL because he's such a natural runner. He has really good vision. He understands block scheme. He's powerful. But I just think his ceiling is like a couple good years. I don't know. He's already older. I genuinely think he's slowing down. I just think he's solid everywhere, but he's not like crazy, crazy. And the combine spoke to that. His measurables didn't go out of anywhere. Then he weighed in at 205 pounds. Like we're worried about Jalen Wright being small, and he's 210. And then we got Blake Corum weighing in at 205 pounds when one of his major traits is his power. His yards per carry has been down for 3 straight years from a 6.6 to a 5.9 to a 4.8. His yards after contact per attempt has gone down every year for 3 years, 3.84 to 3.33 to 2.42. We already talked about, but I'm going to bring it up again. Only 12 of 47 of the last touchdowns that he's had over the last 2 years were above 5 yards. I just don't think there's a ton of juice here. And while I grant you, McCarthy's fantasy ceiling might be QB 12, or if he's on the Vikings, maybe it's QB 8 and then in his best year. But that's okay, like that's not horrible. And he may flop, but whatever. I just don't think Corum's going to give you that much. Whereas McCarthy, okay, yeah, if you look at the pure passing stats, he's in a second tier to all these other quarterbacks. I get it. But he was also 19th in the FBS for passing attempts for this draft class, not for the entire FBS, literally just for the 2024 draft class. He was 61 pass attempts behind Caleb Williams. He was 92 pass attempts behind Drake May, and he was 134 pass attempts behind Bo Nix. Now, he had like three or four more than Jaden Daniels, but Jaden Daniels also has that ridiculous rushing ability that he adds in, so that's not really in the conversation. But I do think he's shown enough to show that like he's an efficient passer. He does what he knows to do. He doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't typically make mistakes, especially playing with the lead all the time. His record in college is ridiculous, and I know that's about a team and not him, but he doesn't cost them the game ever. I think he has really good pocket movement. I really do, and he throws well on the run. Please, for the love of everyone, go watch the Michigan State tape and watch the touchdown throw to Roman Wilson where he has to almost immediately avoid the rush up the middle and kind of avoid the guy running, take a few steps, and while running, just lasers it to Roman Wilson in the end zone for the touchdown. Does that kind of sound familiar? Because to me, it sounds like Brock Purdy. So to me, like he's not gonna fucking win you the game necessarily. He doesn't have the arm talent to like make every throw in the world, but when you need him to make the throw, he knows where to go with it. He's good enough at moving around and he can throw after the first read goes down if he needs to. But he just knows how to play the position, and certain offenses are really going to like that. So if you surround him with talent, I think he can be pretty good like I honestly think if he goes to the Vikings, I'll be all in on JJ McCarthy. I think he will be good, and I think they will like he will be a serviceable fantasy quarterback. If he goes to the Patriots, I'm not going to be in because I think he's going to have to do it all on his own, and I don't think he has that ability in him. But I think he's proven that he has the arm talent to play in the NFL, and if he ends up around all of if he's got Addison and JJ, Justin Jefferson, that is, and TJ Hawkinson to throw the ball to, and Aaron Jones out of the backfield, I think that could be absolutely electric. Where and then honestly, if like Drake May ends up going to the Vikings, I'd feel kind of the same way. It's like whichever one of them two guys goes to the Patriots, I'm out on it, and the other one goes to the Vikings, I'm in on. But either one of them has more upside than Blake Corum, which is really what we're talking about here. So to me, that's why I moved JJ McCarthy ahead because as electric as Corum has been in terms of like producing scores for Michigan, I just don't think that is going to continue at the next level.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Basically, he was in a system that gave him an absurd amount of volume, and I don't think he's got the play style or versatility to demand that in the NFL. So I do think he's going to be a bit of a menace at the next level, and he has obviously workhorse potential,
Hmm.
but like you're saying, his size, we'll have to see if he can translate to that goal line success that he had. But there's a good chance that it's not going to happen unless someone is forcing it to happen, and
Exactly.
that doesn't necessarily happen in the pros like it does in college. So
Not at all. And I do think if he ends up on an offense where there's maybe a hole at running back, honestly, in the Chargers, I know that Jim Harbaugh connection is way too easy,
schemes.
but like, but if he ends up somewhere where there is room, I think he could find it because he is a good running back. I just don't think he has that next level thing to set him apart in the NFL. So we have 3 seed JJ McCarthy moving on to the Sweet 16 and 6 seed his teammate Blake Corum falling down. We move on to the 7-2 matchup, the last matchup of the round of 32 for the Midwest bracket, and it is our 7 seed Ray Davis, running back out of Kentucky, versus our 2 seed Roman Wilson, wide receiver out of Michigan. Woof. Ooh, this was an interesting one. I mean, Roman Wilson, I'm really high on, and I think some people are going to devalue this entire tournament by having Ray Davis here instead of who he beat in the first round, Braylon Allen. I do think whoever showed up to take on Roman Wilson would have lost, though, regardless, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll
So,
probably Braylon Allen, dude. I don't know. Got to bet against your own bias. There's so many guys I'm willing to be wrong about. So, um, yeah, Roman Wilson's got to win this one.
yeah, I think so. But I do think Davis is really interesting. And I think the reasons we gave it to him over Braylon Allen do stand clear to me. I mean, he's one of the few dual threat running backs in this draft class. 320 yards on the ground, 7 touchdowns tied him for first in touchdowns and third in the tournament for receiving yards for running backs. And honestly, you got to back all those receiving running back stats down one because Dylan Labes are just ridiculous, but he was playing
Yeah.
against like accountants and stuff, so it's not really going to count. So really he's second in receiving yardage, but he had 51 forced missed tackles, which would land him 10th in the tournament. And he was just an absolute unit for Kentucky, with a college dominator rating in the 40 or 94th percentile. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically the amount of volume that like yardage, touchdowns, and everything that a running back uh, occurred for their entire offense. So he was in the 94th percentile for how much usage he was providing to his offense in Kentucky. So he just was doing everything for them. His athletic profile, I think, does kind of cap his ceiling to more of a like handoff rotational guy. And his age makes that even worse. He's already 24. I mean, I was giving our last guy, Blake, or sorry, Isaac Guerendo shit for almost being 24, and Ray Davis is already past that point. So, like that's a huge mark. So he's already going to kind of be a rotational guy, I think. And then he's older already. But I do think he has fantasy value because he's versatile and he's got some spicy movement to his game. So I think he has that like handcuff injury type value that maybe you kind of hold on to him if you have an injury prone running back, or if he lands behind one of those guys. Because I do think he's going to end up as a two on a team for a few years and see valuable touches. Think I would like to snag him in the third round of dynasty drafts if I had some thirds, maybe in the fourth if he makes it, depending on landing spot. Because I do think he's got some spice to him, man.
He does. I mean, the age is what's killing him, and he had some injuries in his
Hmm.
past, some big knee injuries. He's been on like three or four different college squads. It's kind of
Yeah.
ridiculous, but I do think he brings like unreal power as a runner. He can definitely push a pile, and he's the kind of guy that demands a gang tackle. Like a
Hmm.
single guy is not going to be able to take him down. Plus, he does have the jukes and like the tightrope walk. And I don't know, 4.52, I thought was decent
Yeah,
for
not
this guy.
bad.
He's pretty
I would have
decent
thought he was going
size
to run slower.
for sure. So he definitely, I mean, I don't know. Like you're saying with the catching, it's all solid. He did have one of the lower actual receiving grades at
Mm.
69.3, but that didn't stop him from getting that regular work. Um, so I don't know, man. The one thing about him that really killed me was he only had 3 games over 80 rushing yards last year.
Yeah,
So I
that's
mean, the
tough.
productivity wasn't necessarily
Yeah.
going for him. But hey, man, he could have a chance to be a guy who gets a little bit of back and running back work. Who knows? I never know with these lower seed guys.
No, for sure. I'm with you. He's definitely a rotational guy. And I think that's kind of where we landed with Braylon Allen as well. So if you want to insert Braylon Allen into this
Yeah,
spot,
there you go.
you're not going to hear any arguments from us. That was a tough one
Solid
for of us.
profiles on him. Just go back a few
Yeah, we
episodes.
do have it for you. So if regardless though, we've got our number 2 seed Roman Wilson beating either the 7 seed Ray Davis or the 10 seed Braylon Allen. If you feel better about that, we went Ray Davis, but either way, they are going home. So your Sweet 16 representatives for the Midwest are going to be Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver out of Ohio State. Isaac Guerendo, 13 seed, running
What?
back out of Louisville. The 3 seed JJ McCarthy out of Michigan.
Yeah,
And the 2 seed Roman Wilson, also out of Michigan, will be there in the Sweet 16. So we've got one little division left, and we will be down to our final 16 competitors in the 2024 Rough Draft Research Dynasty Rookie Tournament. So let's go ahead and crack into it. We've got some more teammate against teammate violence here. So we've got Rome Odunze, wide receiver out of Washington, and our 1 seed going up against the 8 seed, his teammate, also at wide receiver, Jalen McMillan. And McMillan has great tape, but there's not
great.
a chance he beats Odunze, who I still think is the wide receiver one in most classes, if it's not with Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Hey, I mean, I don't know. McMillan did lead Washington in 2022, even though
That's true.
Odunze was out there, and who knows if he hadn't got hurt there with that knee injury this year. He was toe to toe, man. They were both leading some pretty solid campaigns through the first 3 games. But yes, Rome Odunze wins. Okay. I really like McMillan, man.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
serious
good.
about this guy. I guess I'm high on him, as the kids say.
Mm.
I'm above average on my opinion of him. And I don't know. He played great out of the slot for Washington. And I thought the size was nice, right? He's 6'1",
Hmm.
right at 200 pounds,
Yep.
running under the 4.5, which makes it pretty solid. Um, but I don't know. There's a couple of guys in this tournament where I have this opinion of them where I see like a dichotomy. Like he didn't use his speed when he ran intermediate routes. Instead, he used his like awareness and his
Mm.
technique
Mm.
to give him the space he needed. And he turned into pretty good yards after the catch guy on those routes. But then like he still had enough straight line speed to break deep and get some nice, clean, open catches down the field. So I do like McMillan. He was one of those guys that was used a lot creatively and motion. There were like some wildcat snaps and stuff like that. So I don't know. I thought he had good hands, and and I really like him. I don't think he's the sexiest name in this class,
Yeah.
but I trust him to be a reliable guy and definitely on the field in the NFL offense. Just a bit of a sleeper, if you ask me.
Mhm. No, I'm with you. There's a lot to like about his game. I think particularly his route running. I think he's really good. He's one of those guys that makes it look really easy. Um, he always kind of knows exactly where to find the hole or the easy spot in the zone to give the QB an easy completion, which I think is really, really nice and will be a great asset for him to have in the NFL. He's also one of the few guys who really has just spent all kinds of time in the slot. Over 90 or almost 90% of his time was spent in the slot, which is just, going to be phenomenal for him. He already knows how to play that. But I just feel like there are times that something shows up that keeps him from being able to take it to that next level to where he will be reliable, but not like crazy, crazy. To me, like for instance, against Tulsa. So he has 8 catches for 114 yards and a score, and that's awesome. But he also dropped a wide open bomb for a touchdown that would have added like another 40, 50 yards and another score. Then he fumbled in the red zone once. And then he also got caught from behind on a screen in that very same game that he very easily could have taken. And so there's just like those little things that keep him from coming. And then it's like, oh, you see that on tape a little, and then you go to check, and those little show things kind of show up everywhere in the tournament. Like for instance, he's fifth worst in tournament drop rate. He's 27th in tournament drop grade. He's 21st in yards after the catch. He's 15th in yards after the catch per. He's 19th in yards per route run. He's 23rd in forced missed tackles. So there's things that I just think keep him from being like a next level candidate at the next level, but I do think he has enough to his game, and the route running ability and the ability to get open and know how to get open and be reliable is going to get him a job, but and a consistent job. But I do think there might be even slot guys that have like more upside to me, like maybe Malik Washington, Roman Wilson, Corley, and then even Ricky Parasol, somebody that lost in the first round of our tournament. I think might have a little more upside, but I do like McMillan. I do, I really do. But he's fighting to me for the fourth best like slot receiver in the class. Like that's the conversation to me that he's in, and which means obviously he loses to Rome. But I do think like given because I mean any of these slot guys they round in the land in the right offense, whichever one gets the guy that uses the slot receiver more is going to be the one I want the most, because all of these guys are super good. And I do like McMillan a lot, and he's got a lot of the things done that he needs to be able to succeed early in the NFL. I just don't know what his ceiling looks like.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I like to hope that maybe that injury was kind of nagging
That's fair.
and
That's
held
fair.
him up. But yeah, all right, fine, fine, Christian. He loses, okay? He definitely loses this one.
I wasn't shitting on him. Sorry. I'm trying to be objective. But
No,
all
I
right,
like it,
so
man. It's good to have the you got to have the counter arguments, man. I like it.
that's fair. I thought I might have to argue a little on this one. So, but we've got the number one, Rome Odunze. He's moving on, and the eight seed, Jalen McMillan, Daniel's sleeper. He has fallen, but very good. Made it all the way through the round of 32. So our next matchup, we got the 5 seed, Michael Penix Jr., quarterback out of Washington, going against the 4 seed, also a quarterback also in the
Mm.
Pacific Northwest. I guess that makes sense. It's a West bracket for Bo Nix, quarterback out of Oregon. Oh man, what what do you do here?
I think no matter what, we win because we got to get rid of some of these effing quarterbacks, dude. Like, what
Yeah,
are we doing? This is fantasy football. We don't need six, seven of these fucking guys dragging into here.
that's
Um,
fair. That's fair.
this was a tough one for me. Personally, I went with Bo Nix as the winner. Um, but it was like 51-49 kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um, and
I'm.
I don't know.
Go ahead. Oh
I was
no,
just
I was just gonna say I'm 100% with you.
okay, okay.
Like for starters, I don't think either of these guys are gonna be plus starters in the NFL. That like, let me just put that out there right now. I don't think either one of them are gonna end up being long-term NFL starters. Um, but I do think they both have NFL caliber traits. that are super exciting. They both just have like one weakness, but I think they both have like one of the weaknesses that I think are the most fatal for quarterbacks going into the NFL. So, for instance, like Bo Nix, I think he can make damn near every throw he needs. He's got power, he's got touch, he can move, he can throw on the move, he can throw off platform. I think he can run, and I think he has fairly decent pocket presence. And he can make things happen with his legs, but he's a very much a first read guy. Like it's a first read, and he busts off the first read to the point that it seems like he forgets how to throw when it's off the first read. It's like
Just let this
accurate as
fall out of my
balls
hand.
on the first seed. And then if he has to look at the next guy, it'll just come out weird sometimes. So to me, I don't think he does that. And I think that is a cardinal sin in the NFL. I think something like that is what got Zach Wilson screwed because you can just telegraph exactly what you're doing to defenses and they just will annihilate you. You cannot do that in the NFL. So if he can get over that, he's got the like developmental tools that you like, but that's such a big red flag that I hate and that's scary, but he does play super clean. He is accurate when he's playing on time and you know those are really good traits to have too. On the Penix side, the flip of that, he has just an absolute fucking howitzer for an arm, and he could throw it from one side of the field to the other side of the field, and he can murder people on those out routes because he can just fling it out there so hard, almost too hard for the receivers sometimes.
Yes.
His problem is equally as challenging to overcome in the NFL is that he just can't move as well. Like you have to
Yeah.
have an O line in front of him. If you can keep him upright, he can whip it wherever he needs to go. But as soon as he lands in a situation where the pocket starts to break down on him, he can't help you out after that. So to me, it comes which one of those problems is the easiest to fix? And to me, it's Bo Nix's. I don't think either of them get fixed for what it's worth, but if I have to choose, which I do right here, I would
Fair
say
enough.
Bo Nix would be the guy that you can fix because as much as I love Penix and his arm and his mentality and the way he plays and the way he understands the game, you can't change that he can't escape. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, he only had 80 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. It's like
Hmm.
you can't do that. Not in the NFL today. Whereas Nix, I mean, this is kind of what it got. First of all, Bo Nix has like some really nice uh numbers and like
Oh yeah.
rankings as far as like his passing skills, but he also adds 20 touchdowns on the ground over the last two
Hmm.
years. So I mean, Penix is great, and he can move. He can move in the pocket and
Yeah.
deliver a ball on the run. You know, off platform throws aren't really that bad for him. But you got to be able to. You have to be able to scramble.
Escape. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess I
exactly.
don't want to say when I say he can't move, I guess I don't mean he can't move at all. It's just that like he can't make that
Advance the ball past the line of
yeah
scrimmage
that
in
but
his
also like
hands.
even run enough to make that like crazy throw that Patrick
Oh,
Mahomes or Rodgers can make that like you extend the play and then you get
Caleb
30 yards
Williams.
because the play broke but Caleb Williams even but that type of stuff you're not going to see from him as much I don't think.
No, definitely not. But you got to give him a little bit of credit for 9,500 yards
Oh
through the
yeah,
air in 2 years with
incredible.
Washington. And
uh, I I would prefer Penix to be better. Like I love watching Penix, just the way he
dude,
throws and
the
all
ball placement,
the
man,
ball placement.
and
Yeah,
the
he's
reads, it's
yeah,
crazy.
absolutely incredible. And if
Amazing.
he ends up behind an offensive line that I'm like, well, damn, he's only gonna get sacked 20 times a year, then maybe we can cook with something here. But if he ends up on the Raiders, which is a spot that I'm hearing right now, I'm not so sure about that. And then I don't know, these two guys, maybe their landing spot could give you a little bit for because the landing spot for Bo Nix is like apparently the Broncos, which I do think would
Yeah,
make a lot of sense for Sean Payton and first read
they could
offense.
give him
Like,
the second round.
yeah, that would be interesting, and I could see that. But
I'd
I
be into
just,
that.
yeah. And so same thing here. If Penix ends up somewhere, I don't know exactly where Penix because I don't necessarily love the Raiders there, but um, I do like Penix a lot in terms of watching him. I'm skeptical on his next level success.
Yeah, definitely two torn ACLs and injuries on both shoulders. Just not really what you're looking for. Both these guys are like 24 years old,
Hmm.
so neither of them have an edge there.
Yeah, which isn't a death sentence, but it's still not something I want to look for either, I mean, they're damn near Jordan Love's age, you know.
Stupid. All right, forget these guys.
But anyway, all right. So we got the 4 seed Bo Nix narrowly moving
Yeah,
on past Michael Penix Jr. out of Washington. That was probably one of our closer matchups, except no, it
for
wasn't
sure.
because the next matchup I thought was even harder with our 11 seed running back Marshawn Lloyd out of USC going
Mm,
up against the 3 seed Troy Franklin, wide receiver out of Oregon, catching passes from homie Bo Nix. This was tough. This both these guys could be dynasty first rounders. I hope Lloyd falls to the second round and for the belt for my sake. This is tough, man. Um,
this was hard. It's hard for
mhm.
me
It's
personally.
we're getting to that grindstone time for the dynasty tournament. Like somebody's got to win. So you're nitpicking here. So to
Yeah.
me, whew, Franklin is a smooth route runner, and I think he could be really dangerous in that category. He's tall, he's fast, 4.41 speed, 6'2". And I think he has sneaky footwork off the line. I think he trips people up quite often and can get open like almost immediately sometimes.
Hmm.
He does have a smaller frame and he can
Hmm.
get bullied, similar to, I don't know, Jameson Williams or Christian Watson, like these kind of like taller, longer guys that are running really fast. And then you got Lloyd, who is just hyper efficient every time he gets the ball, has great size, turns up the field, looks for more Rodgers every single time. I mean, look at these elusivity numbers for Lloyd. He's first in elusivity ranking in the tournament. He's second last in attempts, but 12th in missed tackles force, second in yards per attempt, first in breakaway percentage, sixth in missed forced tackles on receiving on just 18 targets. So in all running backs, he's sixth in forcing missed tackles with 10 forced missed tackles in the receiving game on 18 targets. That's not even receptions. So on 13 catches, he forced 10 forced missed tackles. That's just crazy. Just every time he touches the ball, he's doing it. He has a dangerously, like glaringly low yards after contact number at 457. Which is real low in this tournament, but his per attempt number is seventh in the tournament. So yards after contact per attempt is seventh. So hopefully it's just kind of a volume issue there. I think he has super good footwork behind the line and is able to manipulate blocking really, really well. He's just a freaking bowling ball too at 5'9", 220 pounds. He just takes people with him. So to me, it landed that there are 4 RBs that I think can legitimately be RB1s in this class. Lloyd is one of them. And Franklin profiles as a 2 to me. And last thing on Franklin, he had one glaring upside or one glaring issue to me, and it's the drops, man. The drops, he had 9 drops this season. And just two bad ones against Utah, man. Like
Uh,
just wide open and just
sorry.
drops. So
Sorry for
no,
making noises.
no, you're good. So to me, they both have high upside, and I do think Franklin profiles as more of like a 2 in an offense and maybe like a wide receiver 2, but he has like high 2 upside, I think, because he does have really, really A+ route running. But the drops, and then along with the fact that I think Lloyd has the ability to be an RB1, is why I ended up landing with Lloyd.
Okay, yeah, I made that same choice. I'll leave my Lloyd love for the next
Okay.
matchup. Um, but I mean, Franklin, he's got a lot. He's got a lot of good things going on.
Hmm.
I did think, yeah, he's obviously a little slight, but he had like good contact balance that
Mm.
gave him the ability to get some really good work in after the catch. And he's got a beautiful like shake to him to make guys miss when he's running after the catch. So I like that. Obviously, the speed to burn guys and be open deep is really what he offers NFL teams is kind of
Hmm.
a burner, but he has more than that to his game. Um, and the stats and the grades like really show up for this guy. He's kind of an all-around solid player. But I do think the way that he runs his routes is kind of suspicious. Like he almost runs with corners and then hopes to, like outrun them at the
Mm,
top of a route.
gotcha.
And I really worry about that in the NFL. Like people aren't gonna, that's not gonna be as successful.
Hmm.
But I mean, he does pack a solid game, and he was wildly successful, like ridiculously so. So I mean, you got to give him a little bit of credit. So 1,383 yards and
That's a
14
lot.
touchdowns. Yeah, and then the yards per route run at 3.32 is that's top five, top three really in this
Hmm.
tournament. And yeah, boom. I mean, what is it? What do you want? Like that guy made the team successful. There wasn't three of him like Washington. It
Hmm.
was just him out there killing it. So
Yeah. No,
good
100%.
work.
Yeah,
But
no,
dude,
he was awesome. And I do think like he's another guy. Like, honestly, somebody like him, if he ends up, say, Buffalo, that would be really spicy to me. That might move him up a little in terms of like where I'd want him to go. I think they
mm,
could use another fast route runner.
sure.
Now that they've traded Diggs. So like
Yeah, like he was
I,
a lot up there.
they could use a lot up there for sure. But I do think Lloyd just being this, and then we'll get into him more next week. But I just think Lloyd has a lot to his game that I think teams are really, really gonna like. And he has the ability, I think he has the ability to break out of this draft class. So with that said, we have the 11 seed Marshawn Lloyd moving on and the 3 seed Troy Franklin going home. So we've got our last matchup of the round of 32. It is running back out of Oregon, Troy Franklin's teammate, Bucky Irving, the Nightcrawler, as we call him around these parts,
Oh, hell yeah.
going up against the 1 seed, Caleb Williams, quarterback out of USC. And I know you said we needed to get rid of quarterbacks. I don't think we can do it here, though.
It's not that moment.
It's
No.
not that moment,
Mm,
unfortunately.
yeah. Bucky's gotta say bye-bye,
Bucky
which
does have to say bye.
um
You know,
yeah,
it's just Caleb Williams, if he hits the way people are talking about him, he has this like perennial 5 to 10 QB upside. And that's just like that alone is going to move him past Bucky Irving. But I don't think it should be forgotten that Bucky Irving's a playmaker and he is the unquestioned like dual threat of this kind of running back draft to me. His receiving ability out of the backfield was awesome this last past season. He was second in the tournament in targets with 61 and third was 39. So he had like almost double. And he also had 21 missed tackles forced through the receiving game, which is second in the tournament. Again, that's behind both those numbers are behind Dylan Labe, who just like had unfair numbers in
doesn't
terms
count.
of like, yeah, exactly. It doesn't count. So Irving also adds 69 missed tackles forced through the rushing game, which would give him 90 total, which would be third in total missed tackles forced for the entire tournament. So we're talking about just this guy that has crazy, crazy, crazy elusivity. Oh, shouldn't surprise you. His elusivity rating is third amongst running backs in this tournament. So I like Irving a lot, man. So I do. The combine whiffs, but it almost feels like we're getting Irvin at a discount because of the combine. I mean, he even showed up in the yards after contact per attempt and he came in fifth in the tournament. So, what do you think, Dan? Here, like, how far is Irving going to slide, and how early are you willing to take him?
It just depends on the draft. I mean, I would take him in the mid second. I think he's probably like a later second kind of guy.
Hmm.
But if he's still sitting there, I mean, I'm going to find a way to maneuver to pick him up because, I mean, everything you said about him is 100% true. You talk about running backs and you talk about speed, power, workhorses. Like he's not any of
No.
those things. But it didn't stop him, man. I mean, the guy, I don't know, the way he played, like without any quit in him, that was the thing I liked about him the
Hmm.
most. Sure, he's scrappy. seamless kind of reflexes and adjustments in open space. But like just the way he kind of muscled through tackles and tried to stay up just made him amazing. And honestly, dude, I think that that's going to shine through, and he's going to be a surpriser on the at the NFL draft because there's no one that doesn't want a guy that just pulled down 55 catches. You know what I mean? In the
Mhm.
Pac-12, a pretty good competition base, and everybody wants a pass catching running
Mhm.
back that can just break one all the way in the open field, and that's what he offers. So I think if he gets, what do you think, dude? Round four, NFL round
Yeah,
four.
round four would be good. I think round four. I mean, what was Kyron Williams a fifth round pick, fourth or
Yeah, I
fifth? I
believe
think would
so.
be fine for Irving. There's a ton of teams that could use him. I know the coaching staff has changed, but if were to slide in with the Chargers in that Austin
Dude, the
Eckler role, that
Chargers,
would have been
exactly.
incredible. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know if that's the style of offense they're still going to run with Jim Harbaugh there, but that would be incredible. But yeah, I mean, there's a ton of guys, or even
Green Bay.
uh, Green
Green
Bay.
Bay.
Green Bay does need a spicy little pass catcher now with Josh Jacobs. I mean, I know Josh Jacobs has underrated pass catching ability, but they need that kind of change of pace guy. Green Bay would be good. I almost wanted to say Carolina, but I just don't trust that offense. But I do think they could use a pass catching guy there. That would be nice. But yeah, like you're saying, there's a ton of teams that could use Bucky Irving and his ability. And yeah, maybe the combine hurt him a little bit, unfortunately, especially for his draft money that he's going to be making. But I do
Sure.
think he's got some spice and some wiggle and enough to kind of break through, but not enough to beat Caleb Williams. So Caleb Williams moving on and finishing out our Sweet 16. So wrapping up the winners from the West bracket, we've got the 1 seed Roma Dunze out of Washington, the 4 seed Bo Nix out of Oregon, the 11 seed Marshawn Lloyd out of USC, and the 1 seed Caleb Williams, also out of USC. So there you all have it. We have our Sweet 16 set up. I will throw it up there for you right now. And so there you have it. So join us next week. We're going to be doing the Sweet 16, I believe, as one episode. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So full Sweet 16 will be the next episode you hear after this. I'm gonna put one out on Twitter. Um, our all our stuff is in the videos and on Spotify, but if you can't find it, comment on the YouTube video. I will send it to you. Just ask me for it if you want to fill out a Sweet 16 bracket. But be on the lookout for that. But until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.
I took a lease out on your heart.